To sit or not to sit, that is the question on every 49ers fan's mind as they head into the season finale against the Rams and trying to decide who should rest and who shouldn't. Obviously, one of the biggest talking points out of this last game against the Commanders since the 49ers have clinched the 1 seed is discussing which players should they put on the shelf. We already found out that Christian McCaffrey won't play in this game against the Rams as he's dealing with calf strain, a mild one at that. So the next kind of domino to fall is, well, who else is going to sit? Well, Deebo Samuel went on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams to discuss what his thoughts are on potentially playing or sitting in this game against the Rams. And based on what Deebo Samuel had to say, sounds like it's all hands on deck. Take a listen to what Deebo had to say on potentially sitting or playing in this final game.
Are you a believer? Are you somebody who wants the rest and like you're for that, or do you want to keep the flow going?
You definitely want to keep the floor going, but you also want to give your body a rest. So I feel like we'll play this game for a good bit just to keep the groove going and not, take too much time off. I feel like we're going to be going this week, like as in practicing hard and continue to do the things that we do. We just got to keep building and, we haven't played our best ball yet. So we just got to continue to get better and better each day.
So you're going to play?
Yeah, for sure.
I love that. Because there's decisions to make and all that. Is it kind of a negotiation? Like, are you going to have, or is it, coach says what happens and you guys are like, okay.
It ain't no negotiation. Once coach say one thing, it's all hands on deck.
Now, this is something like I've talked about at the very beginning. We've been going back and forth on, and this is something where I have been leaning towards more guys are actually going to play than rest. I understand the popular sentiment right now is to rest players. I did a poll on Instagram where we had probably over 15,000 votes, where essentially 86% of the votes opted to rest players versus playing players. And I understand the thought process. I definitely do. But that's not how football players think, especially Kyle Shanahan. I've talked about the story many times. Kyle is on record talking about deep childhood, rooted trauma in watching his dad rest players the final week of the season, a year that their team was the top team in the league, and then losing in the divisional round because they weren't mentally prepared or sharp or ready to go. And he's referenced this story, and he looks at that game, and I've heard him speak about it, where he's like, if I ever find myself in that same situation, I don't know if we're going to do the same thing. So just like you heard from Deebo Samuel, he said it's all hands on deck if that's what Kyle wants. And that is at the essence of what the determining factor of these guys playing in this game against the Rams. It's what Kyle wants. And again, we're connecting the dots. If Kyle has deep childhood trauma rooted in his dad getting bounced in the divisional round after resting players the final week of the year, what do you think he's going to do? Now, it makes sense. No CMC. We don't want CMC out there. We understand how important Christian McCaffrey is and the fact that, we saw the shots of him getting taped up, getting spatted, working on his calf. You don't want to see CMC in the final game of the year. However, we might see all the starters. I really do think we will. So I think what it's going to come down to is game flow. I do. I think it's going to come down to game flow. And I think Deebo kind of alluded to that in this conversation with Kay Adams, is basically, let's say the San Francisco 49ers come out, throw up 2-3 touchdowns first, second quarter. They'll probably be sitting guys outside of half. But if it becomes a competitive game, I do see a situation where the 49ers, these are football players, man. They want to compete. And, who knows? Maybe they'll see the Rams in the playoffs. That's another added element to this. It's like both these teams have clinched. So what are you going to get from the Rams as well? I've heard a clip of Sean McVay talking about potentially resting guys for this game. And he said that he would do whatever's best for his team, whether that's resting or playing. So these two guys have very similar mindset. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this game ultimately plays out. Again, popular sentiment amongst the fan base is rest the players. I do see a scenario where we actually go out there with kind of like Deebo said, all hands on deck. And it's something I've been talking about since the game ending. So I've been trying to quietly prepare people for what is likely coming, which is going to be majority of the players playing. However, I do understand that most of you want them to rest. And I can guarantee I can see the comments right now lighting up. Don't play these guys. Don't risk it. But again, Kyle, when you have childhood trauma rooted in resting players, the final week of the year because you had a first round bye and it led to your dad's team getting bounced in the divisional round. I don't think we got much legs to stand on, people. Kyle's like, he's like, no, I've had nightmares about this. Like, I don't care what you guys are scared about. I don't care about your injury PTSD that you have. I have my own PTSD. I saw my dad get bounced after having the best team in football, resting his players the final week. And then we played a scrappy, gritty team that fought their way into the playoffs and bounced us in the divisional round. So I get where you guys are coming from, but I think we have to start looking at this from Kyle's perspective. And again, it's what I've been trying to do from the jump. And I think the players are kind of letting us know a little bit. I mean, Kyle did meet with local media yesterday, and he didn't really divulge any plans that he had for who's going to play or who's not going to play, which obviously is keeping it close to the vest, which makes sense. But I would just say, if I'm a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, I would start to mentally prepare that these guys are going to play on Sunday versus the Rams. And I know that's not what anyone wants to hear. If it was up to the fan base, all 22 starters would be sat down. You'd have nothing but practice squad and backup players in. But I just don't think that's the reality. Now, that could be the case maybe in the second half or later on down the road in that game based on game flow. But I think to start, it might be business as usual for the San Francisco 49ers. Let me know what you guys think. Don't kill the messenger. Again, I'm just trying to let you know how I've been tracking this situation. I know the main talking point, one of the main talking points out of this game is rest. I don't think we're going to get it because I think the way Kyle's looking at it is you guys get a bye. You get the rest. We need to go into this game sharp, and we need to come out of this game sharp so that we go into our break sharp and we come out of it sharp. That's the biggest takeaway, from my opinion, of what the 49ers are going to do. But I want to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more